Hello there.
Hello, Winston.
Yep.
It's Jonathan calling you.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah. So I'm going to record this conversation. Is that okay?
Right on.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
I'll be talking all the way, yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said that you had some stories about traditional knowledge and about the way people used to live.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to talk on.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Just say when you're ready.
I am ready.
Tell me when to go.
Yes. Please go.
Okay, then. I am going to tell you a story from in the 50s and part 60s when we live on the land and when we live off the land. When we tell stories, we learn from each other. During my talk, you will hear about traditional knowledge. A traditional knowledge is a traditional value that you learn from the traditional way of life when you live on the land and when you live off the land. There are 4 seasons in a year, and I'd like to talk about how we live during the summer. And I'll start off by when we used to fish. Before my time, people used to make willow nets, fish traps. They have bone hooks and spear. Nowadays we have modern methods of fish nets, hooks, and we also get as much as fish as we can before winter sets in. We dry the fish, and sometimes we use stick fish. The reason for all this is because we have dog teams, and they have to be fed year-round, especially in the winter months when they do hard work. It's similar to a vehicle. You got to have oil in order for it to work. And then we put the fishes away. Sometimes we make dry fish, and sometimes we smoke it. And we try to get as much as fish as we can. Back then, people used to have willow nets, like I said. I've seen that, and I also saw, I tried making willow nets. And that was the traditional way of fishing for fish back then. And then we go and we pick berries, all kinds of berries, but the main ones that we usually live on is cranberries, blueberries, salmon berries, which in my language they're called knuckle, the yellow berries. And then we store that up for the winter months. And we also pick plants. For instance, like Labrador tea, which you use during all year round. It's a good medicine too. And then we use other plants for medicine purposes. I'll just name a few. We get a juniper root. We get red willow. We get tamarack gum, tamarack roots. And we use spruce gum, spruce corn, and spruce inner bark. There's other that you can use as medicine, but this is just a few that I mentioned. And maybe if we get time somewhere or someplace, I can say how it's used. And that's for that part. And then we get ready for the winter months by fixing up our dog harnesses. We repair them, and we repair our snowshoes. There's two types of snowshoes that we use. We use a 5-foot snowshoe, which is good for deep snow. You don't sink down as much as you're not supposed to. You stay on top and you break trail for your dogs to follow you. And there's the other type of snowshoe. It's called trail snowshoe. Once you get out on a crab line, you come on back to town for more supply, and it may have snowed, and your trail is covered with snow. Then you use that trail snowshoe. It's light, and you can walk and break trail. And you use caribou hide bees for your snowshoes. You repair them because when you walk in a place where it's brushy, sometimes your bees tear and you repair it. Just like fish nets, you repair when the nets are torn. And also, when that is done, we prepare for winter by gathering up all the caribou that we can get, because we have dog teams and they have to be fed too. And you can use many ways on caribou. You could make grind meat. It's called pemmican. And we use that caribou for food, for clothing, for shelter. You might wonder where that shelter is made from, but in the days gone by before my time, they used to have what you call skin tents. They make tents for staying out in the woods. And they make clothing. They make pants. They make parka. They make your canvas boots. They make your hat and your caribou skin gloves. Nothing goes to waste. You also make tools for your arrowheads, tools for your spearheads. And we use every part of what that caribou can give us. And once that is done, We also go and set snares for rabbits, and we save that too. Also, we use that caribou babiche we make snares for caribou. But that was in the days gone by before my time. But I seen pictures of caribou snares, and I knew of a fellow that uses it. Yeah. So you see, it's very important to us. At one time, people used to use that caribou skin for rugs, and if you had no sleigh or toboggan, they used that to pull through things that you have when you're out hunting or crabbing. One time I was out in Old Coal Flats during the springtime. I had no toboggan, but I had dogs with me. And the fellow is supposed to bring toboggan for me from Old Coal Village. So then I thought about that toboggan that they talk about. So I tied two ends with string, and there was my sleigh. I can pull my crabs and whatnot with it. Very, very, very handy. And then we come to wintertime. It's a trapping season for fur-bearing animals. When you crab or when you fish or anything that you need to live on, you have to know the habitat of each animal. Yep. And you know what time the migration comes. You know when it's time for good eating and when not to eat. But you need to know these things in order to live healthy. And when you go out to your crab line, you look around to where you figured it's a good place to set crabs for marten, mink, otter, link. And you have to know the signs of them, especially the tracks, what caribou crag look like, what mink crag look like, what other animal tracks look like. And that helps you to know that there's animals around. You learn all these things from the elders and from the people that pass on. We get to know these things by them because it's passed on to us. And that's where you get that traditional knowledge from. And that is the traditional way of life. Once you learn these things, it's a very important traditional value. You can live. I heard once a fella said, the grocery store is out there in the woods. And he's right. Yeah. Anyways, when we come to the place where we're supposed to trap for a bearing animal, sometimes we get a lot. Sometimes we don't get any. Maybe it's because of the life cycle of the different animals. Maybe sometimes it's good luck and bad luck. I believe in it because I had bad luck one time. Yeah, and there was plenty around. Also, sometimes the weather sets in. You can't go out for a few days and you lose some fur out there to other animals taking them for food. And sometimes it's too cold. But we're used to that, 40, 50 below. Back then, that was what it was. Nowadays, it only goes as low as 30 below zero. Time has changed, and global warming has come with it, and people change too. And that lasts till maybe around March for a bearing animal, and then comes springtime. They have to go up. I'm talking about the region where I come from. Comes March, you go out to Old Crow Plants, many lakes there, and many muskrats there. And that's what we trap for. Lots of fun. But that's the way of life. We go in February sometime, and we stake rat house. When we stake rat house, we get willow and we stick it beside the muskrat house, because when we go back out, we know where that muskrat house is. If we didn't stake it, you wouldn't know where this house is. And as you do these things, crabbing, fishing, you know what to do, because it was passed down since whenever it first started. There are some people that still goes out and practice their traditional ways on the land. You can, after you learn all these things, when you get in the bind in the modern world, you can always fall back on it. Like the gentleman said, the grocery stores out there. It's a big change now. Some people don't go out as much as they used to. The younger generation knew all the things that I was talking about. All that traditional knowledge had been handed down by our elders. They saw it, they done it, and they live it. So when hard time comes, in the modern world, they can rely on this traditional value that they had learned from the traditional way of life. Live on the land, live off the land. And then it all happened in the 1960s. People change with time. They move into town because of all the modern convenience. There's jobs there in town at the time. They make money every day. Whereas when you're traveling, sometimes there is none in the land, very little. And then you have modern homes with electricity, with a heating system. Just sit back, relax, and touch a button, and there it is. Back then, it was blood, sweat, and tears in order to live from day to day. You have to work in order to eat. You get up in the morning, you light your candle, you don't flick on any switch. You have to make fire in the stove. You don't flick on the switch to keep your furnace going. And also that you have to heat up ice in order to get water, in order to cook. Nowadays, a tap water comes out. When I first saw street lights, 1956, I came to the Travis Northwest Territories, and I was wondering what was that. See, we lived in the past. We didn't know these things and see these things back then. And as I went to school here, I knew a feller that said when he first came into the hostel where we stayed, he was kind of a little afraid because long hallway, he didn't know which way he's supposed to go. When he passed the washroom, he saw water coming out of the tap, and he said, "Oh, water coming out of the walls." See, but now we live in this town, but like I said, we can rely back on the things we had known back then. I'll talk about that caribou, which is very important to us. I mentioned a few things that you can make from it. The ladies usually make clothes, fur pants, fur mitts, your mucklucks you had, and gloves. Nothing went to waste back then. I repeat this because you will know how important caribou is to us. We value everything that comes from the land. It was given to us, and we have to use it the best to our knowledge. And that knowledge, like I said before, comes from the people before us. As we move into this modern world, we tend to forget what we have learned back then. We don't just go back out there anymore. The only time that people go out is weekend for recreation. Get away from it all. Take it easy. And then do a little hunting of what time of the season it is. And just relax. And then we forget how to set fish nets. Not only in the summertime, but wintertime too. We set them under the net. Nowadays they jiggle, but then there's only certain fish that will grab it, grab the hooks. And all that had been taught, some people figured it was lost. It's not lost. It's there. All they have to do is go back there and relive it. There's lots of people, about half of the Aboriginal people go out live on the land. It's more quieter than living in the town, because in the town you get yourself into trouble, which we never heard of before. People use drugs of all sorts, and people don't follow rules, especially family rules. And also, what we never really get into is our language. It's not lost. It's there. All you have to do is pick it up again, because that language, whatever indigenous group you belong to, that language was given to you, your mother tongue. People in my era grew up with it. Yep. I just started picking it up now again. Yeah. When you leave something on a shelf and you never touch it or use it for many years, it's not going to do any good to you or for you. It's just going to sit there until you reach for it and use it. That's the same thing with language. It's there. Just got to go and get it. Yes. And about all that I have talked about, that back then people helped each other. Sometimes there is the elderly, the disabled, the widowers who cannot help themselves by getting firewood, getting ice for water, or even to food like caribou, because they can't go out there and get some for themselves. So the healthy ones go out there and help them by that. And also sharing is very, very important to the people back then. It's the same people that is less fortunate than others to have, like caribou, fish, and other animals that we eat for food. We share that. Nowadays, people don't share that anymore. Maybe just a few families, few people that had come from the last century. There are a few that share. And what bothers me most is when people get caribou, fish, and other animals we eat, all the delicacies, they don't share it. In order to get them, you have to buy it. You buy it from your own kind. There's a big, big gap in there, big difference in there. They supposed to follow the rules of sharing, because when you do share, when you do help, not because out of humbleness, kindness, but that was the way it was. And there's no harm in sharing. There's no harm in helping. But when you don't do that, it brings sadness to the people that have done it before, that lived it. And that's what I feel bad about. And if you hear me talking on any of the subjects here, and this is for you listeners, if you want to get in touch with me and ask questions about that, I'm willing to answer. Yeah. Living this modern life now is very different than the one that I came from. Yeah. A lot of man-made rules you have to go by. And if you don't go by it, they suffer you for that. But back then, the only rules we know is the traditional sharing and helping. Pass on a traditional knowledge and your traditional value to others so that they can live well. And not only to take care of yourself, but to take care of your belongings like your toboggan, your dog, your harnesses, your traps, all the tools that you need in order to live out there on the land. And the only law that they have was that is what I have mentioned. Self-govern. When I heard that self-government, I was thinking to myself, maybe they picked it up from the indigenous people because that was how they lived, by self-governing. There was no rules to be broken. They didn't need laws. They knew when the caribou come. They knew when they're having calves, and they don't bother them. And they don't have what you call a trigger-happy punch. They know what time the fish run. They know what time the rabbits come. They know what time the other different waterfowls come. And when they leave, they know what time is good eating, especially in the fall. Everything is fat. So you stock up on all these things. Yeah, that's a value that you carry with you. And you're ready for it. And when you're not ready, you get caught up in this difficulty set in. Yeah. Your dogs have to eat in order to work for you. And you have to work in order to supply them with that. Anyways, the time is running short for me here, but I want to remind you again that if you want to question me on what you heard here, don't forget to look me up. I'm in NWTLive and ask questions. And I'll be able to, and if not, well, I'll try to give you answers as I know. Talking about traditional knowledge, I'll give you an example. I was working as a janitor in one of the schools here in NWTLive. After school, I see a grade 12 student with about 5, 6 different textbooks, armful. And I told that student, wow, you really got a lot of homework. He said, no, he says, I'm doing an essay on whale. So I told her that different people write on one subject but saying different things, not the way it is supposed to be written down. They didn't live it. They just hear about it. They didn't see it. And they didn't feel it. I told her, you should see one of the elders in town. That elder's name was Billy B. He lived it. He knew everything that should be known about whaling. Not the scientific stuff, because they only know a few things about whaling, but these people use it for food, shelter, and they lived it. So you see how important it is if you want to find out about traditional knowledge. You see someone that had lived it, and they'll tell you about it. And living out on the land, if you're used to that and grew up in that, and at times, I'm sure others feel the same way, is that I long to go back there. One of the healthiest places is out there. We never did catch a cold. Well, not cold, but there was no other sickness besides that cold, because the cold is common. That's why they call it common cold. And we get it twice a year, springtime and fall time. We live good, healthy, a lot of exercise, and the cold didn't bother us too. We were well dressed for it. And as I said, blood, sweat, and tears, we were made for that type of living. And looking back, you feel and know how tough it was on all that hard work we done. That's looking back at it now. But back then, you never thought of it, because that was natural way of living. So I'm just saying this about the traditional way of life, how we lived, what we knew, what we shared, and how we helped. And this was on live on the land, live off the land. And as I said, I'd like to go back there. But at my age, I'm a little slower now. But back then, people at my age, you run around, jump around just like muskrats on the ice. That's how healthy, how strong people were back then. Anyway, time has run out, and this is a little bit of a story that I passed on to you. I hope you learn something from it, especially the traditional value part. I'm sure you got some value out of it, because I'm sure that you never heard it before. But that is our way of life back then. It's all different now. Some people have forgotten how to live that way. And one thing I'm going to say again before I close is someplace, somewhere, someone knew about the traditional way that we live out on the land. So the people that have trouble with the law, the people that are suffering because of addiction of any sort, and those that are in trouble with the law. We didn't have that back then. And they found out that it's very important to get away from law breaking, addiction. And they put them out on the land, and they call it healing. Yep. So I hope that you learn something from this. As I always say, have a good day.
Yes.
And God bless you.
Yes, thank you. I have a question now. Do you have time for a question?
Well, we still got 9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about things changing with modern times and people changing too. I'm wondering what you might say to young folks or people that want to learn about traditional ways and traditional practices with sharing and helping people in this modern time. What would you suggest to people to do?
Well, I know and I heard of some people that got camps out in the woods, and they teach them traditional ways. Like, for instance, there is a place up the river not too far from here. There's a camp where people with problems, and they take them out there and they teach them traditional ways. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. But, for instance, like a place called Tai Truquaxi, that means we making trail, was held at Fred and Sarah Jerome's camp. And lots of people had done good when they went to that place. They knew some things that they didn't know before. Yeah. But not all younger generation would go out there. They rather stay in town where things is done for them. And, yeah, that's the only thing that I could think of. Yeah. And then you can get the idea from other elders too. You there?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And we did a lot of talking then to the younger ones. But, some people don't think about it because they say, oh, that's old-fashioned, pass away. Yeah, but you can rely on what you learn when you're there. Yeah. As soon as you get back into town, just get back into the whole rough cycle that you live. If you look after yourself, then you don't have to go into that whole cycle again. I've been there. Yeah. I prefer the lifestyle that I'm living right now. Yeah. Okay, then. Are you still there?
I am there. I have a question about, you were talking about taking care of yourself. And how would you describe that?
To take care of yourself? Yeah. One of the reasons for taking good care of yourself is health-wise. Yeah. You don't have to go and do like what other people do. Go to parties and ruin your life somehow with alcohol, drugs, and stay away from things that will harm you. And if you look after yourself, then you won't have to go into that stuff. Yeah. I knew of a person. He says, I tell the young people in a certain village, he says, I tell them that you people should take it easy and do things not very fast because you're going to miss some things and a whole lot of things. And that's living life fast. In a way, he told me that's what I'm teaching them, to take it easy and not to rush yourself. But anyways, a couple of weeks later, he died. So I guess he wasn't looking after himself. Yeah. Back into that old routine of rush. Even if you don't rush, you're still going to get it done anyway. Yeah. To stay on the right side of the track where it's healthy. Yeah. And you fall on the left side, well, sometimes it's hard to get up. And that's not taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is the bright side of life. Yeah, and that's how everyone should live. We got choices to make. So let's make the right choice by taking care of ourselves. Right?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. 100% or 99%?
I think most of the time 100%.
Hey, that's the way to live. Yeah, that's the way to live. And people notice you by that, you know that? Yeah. You don't even have to say anything. Your words and your actions will give you away. And they're going to say, that's a good man there. Ask him how he came to be. Yeah. But even we try to be good, we fall on the wayside sometimes. Something, or thoughts or actions make us slide into that. It happens to the best of us. Yeah. So you just got to watch yourself and try to live a good lifestyle. That's taking care of yourself. Okay now?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that.
Okay then.
That was a wonderful set of of things to share from you, Winston. So
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like I said, I don't know if you're going to put it out to the public, and they can, like I said, they can come and ask questions. That's the only way to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for offering that, and I'm hopeful that more people ask questions too.
Okay.
The idea here was to do some sharing, just so that people feel a little more connected during this time of isolation.
Okay.
Yes, and to possibly learn from one another, just as you were.
Yeah, well, that's
talking.
the only way we're going to learn this from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you can pass that value of learning on to someone else.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's sharing.
That is sharing.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Winston.
Yeah, okay then.
That sounds good.
See you later.
Thank you so much.
Yep, bye.
Okay, bye.